da ba debo, deep da ba dee, deep da ba debo, deep ba ba boo, beep bam ba dee do.
Jeff, I'm going to show you this really quick because I thought it was so funny. I sent it to Zach last night and he didn't even say anything.
I can't stop thinking about my youth pastor in 2008 playing guitar telling us, I know that you juggalos love Violent J, but I'd like to tell you about Loving J and the 12 dudes in his insane crown posse. Okay. Wow. I'm glad you think that's so funny.
Hilarious.
It is kind of funny, actually.
Because that is something that people would say.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Great. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of My Mama Done Told Me. My name's Jeff. I'm here with my sister, Lauren.
What's up?
And I'm here with my mother, Mom.
Hey, everybody.
My mother, Mom.
If you're new to our show, we are a sister and a brother, and we hang out with our mother, and we talk about all kinds of weird stuff, and whatever we feel like talking about, and whatever, we're just going to find something to Taco Bell. And Lauren, I need you to quit playing with that microphone because that just makes
help it.
Today, we are talking about sales. So sales as in the personality of a salesperson.
Yes.
Right? So the question, do you think you have the right personality for sales? So Mom, we had an episode where we talked about all of your MLM schemes that you got involved in, at least 10, if not more. We counted them on our fingers and then we stopped. So you have
and then we stopped.
Yeah, we stopped counting after that because we
10.
the day I didn't have my toes out, but today I do. See,
Ew,
so we could count
why?
higher if we need to. So,
Don't
Mom,
be so long and hard.
sales
We could probably come up with a few more.
probably. Talk to me about sales. What's the and you know, I don't really have a reason for having brought this to the show today. I actually suggested that we change the topic, and Lauren's like, "No, I can't change the stuff to say about this." So,
I did not. It was a text. You couldn't hear me the way I said it.
my internal voice for you when you text is something like that. Hey, Jeff, what you doing? If you can.
Well, I knew I was going to get harassed about the multi-level marketing things I've been in for years. I knew that was coming again.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not really harassment. It's just, you know, hey, look, you were a woman trying to get your hustle on. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. Okay, so talk to me about sales, Ma. Do you think you have the right personality for sales, and like why?
I don't. I do not have the right personality for sales.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's because there's different things you have to. I think the personality of a salesperson is the ability to ask good questions and confidence, and you have to really believe in the product. And half the time I didn't have the confidence or the belief in the product.
Sure.
The only one I really believed in was Favorite Chef.
Right.
That one I believed in. I probably did the best at that.
Right.
You know, and the follow-up, the marketing stuff, that was hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like confrontation, and I don't like confrontation.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of important, I think, to talk about the traits of a salesperson. And I think just on the little bit of research that I did prior to this, I think there's a stigma about salespeople.
Stigmata.
A stigmata.
Stigmatism.
And a stigmatism about salespeople that, you know, there's good salespeople, and we've all experienced good salespeople. We've experienced bad salespeople, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but the question is, do we feel like we have what it takes? And when I look at the characteristics of a good salesperson, someone who's good at sales, right? Not it doesn't matter what the product is. It doesn't matter any of that, but what is, the characteristics of someone who's, in sales? What do you guys think? What are some of the things? Mom already mentioned confidence.
I did some research on it, and one thing they said was great listening skills. That was one that stood out to me.
Persistent is a good one.
Right.
I think so. Yep.
I think resilience is a good one. You have to be able to
fail.
Yeah. You have, and confidence comes in with that. Like, I have to be okay with
99 no's to 1 yes.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And so I looked up on businessnewsdaily.com, and one of the traits for a successful salesperson, they talked about the care about the customer's interests, confidence, the ability to be always on, right? Being subtle, which in some ways, I think if you're a good salesperson, you're able to subtly sell without, being like, hey, you need to buy ShamWow because, whatever. But,
without being
subtlety.
pushy.
Right. Yep. Resilience, extroverted, which is helpful, I think. Good listener, multitaskers, persistent, like Lauren said.
I think about friendliness too. They have to be very friendly. Like, think of Eddie Haskell. Leave It to Beaver. He was so nice. He was a great salesperson.
Yeah.
And your friend Ryan. I remember telling him when he was about 7 years old, "You are going to be a salesperson someday."
That's what he does for a living. Yeah.
And he's good at it.
He's very good at it. So the other things they mentioned were focused, honest, upbeat or optimistic, and a broad worldview and cultural understanding. So when I look at those, there's very few of those things that I don't think that the three of us have, right? I do believe that we are all good listeners. We can multitask if we need to. We can be persistent. We're all honest. We can be focused in what we do. We care about people. So customer interest, I think, is there. And I believe that we can have confidence. I mean, I've seen all of us exude those things. The hard parts, of a salesperson that I don't believe that I necessarily adhere to, or not adhere to, but like that I have. I guess the traits that I don't have would be extroverted and always on.
Always on was the one that I went.
Yeah.
Well, and extroversion, because I'm not extroverted.
Right.
I'm a functioning introvert.
Another characteristic that I saw was a relentless drive for success.
Right.
Oh, relentless.
Yeah. And,
I've had that.
No, me neither. And so I have a lot of conversations with my wife, Bird, about, jobs and whatnot. She recently, got a new job and whatever, and went through a time where there was a layoff, and she was without a job and she was looking for work. And, sales often comes up. No matter where you look, you're going to, you can make some serious money if you're good in the sales world. Well, she's very not a salesperson. Even if I believe that I'm not, or if you guys aren't, she's very not. She isn't, she doesn't like being told no. She doesn't like being pushy. She doesn't like any of that stuff, to the point where it will affect her. And I get that. And the other things that we talk about with sales is, you've got what is considered good sales, and you've got what is the stereotype of a greasy salesman,
right? Yeah.
And I think, when you get into that world, it's all well and good to believe that you want to be an honest salesperson, that you want to care about the customer, and that you want to do do right by them and make sure they get what they need and all that. And I think there's plenty of those people in the world. But the danger is almost unless you're lucky enough to have to work for a company or for a product or for whatever, or have your own thing where you can decide how far you want to push it. Almost every salesperson, whether it's car salesman, whether it's a service salesman or whatever it may be, they have to always do better.
Quotas.
You have quotas because their bosses and their bosses' bosses and their bosses' bosses all the way up to the CEO is expecting. They're putting pressure on people to keep doing better. So if I'm a car salesman, I can't just go, okay, what's your budget? Now, I'm going to put you into a car that's less than your budget because I want you to be happy and get in the car that you want to be. But my manager's in the background going, see if you can get him into this car for this. I'm like, well, I don't want to. I don't want to put him into that car for a little more than what they're saying because they already made it very clear. But that person has a quota to meet. And it's always going to keep getting bigger. If I do really well and sell this many cars this month, well, I can't just sell that same amount of cars the next month.
Right.
Now I have pressure to do more and more and more, and it never stops.
And that's where it's almost easier to be greasy. Because, if you're dishonest, you might be able to get these people, sold on a car that's going to be a problem for them down the line because they can't afford it.
Right.
Which that's not your problem.
No, and I think that's kind of what I meant when I said you have to believe in the product. You have to believe in the way you sell it too. I mean, you've got to, if you're a greasy car salesman trying to sell somebody a car way more expensive than what you should be buying, I feel terrible about myself. I could not legitimately.
And I feel like that's the reason why I couldn't be a good salesperson.
Right.
Because I can't, I don't think that I'd be able to do what it took to meet the quotas.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times so a personal story for me in my sales journey that I was on when I was 18 years old, working at a little place called Strategic Telemarketing. I was selling BMG music, right?
Like
so
the subscription music thing? Okay.
I would call, and the stipulation was that you had to get the person on the other line of the phone, on the other end of the line, to agree to buying a full-priced album. And then after that, they got like however many for a penny or whatever. But you had to get them to decide on one right then. And so in your pitch, you would say, they said that you would say like, okay, so we're going to give you this album. So like Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. And then you had to say the numbers that went along with it for the, the SKU or whatever. And then you had to get to the end. And if they said yes, you were in, you're good. You got the sale. And so then you would send them that, they would get a bill, whatever. Well, nobody would say yes. No one. So what we did was there was a little band. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a little band called LFO. They had a self-titled album. If you hear LFO 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you don't think anything of it because you don't know that that's an album. So if you said it fast enough, they'd get sent that and charged for it because they said yes, but they had no idea what they were signing up for. They had no idea that
it was wordsmithing and
But you got the sale. So do you be honest or do you, slip in the LFO
right
and get the sale and meet your quota? There's some, and I'm not going to lie, I did that until I was told not to.
Yeah.
But otherwise, nobody was going to say yes.
Right.
Nobody wants to decide on the spot out of thousands of CDs.
Right.
And if you say, you know, I'm going to send you No Doubt Tragic Kingdom for $18.99, everybody says no.
Right.
So, you know, you're stuck between, okay, do I want to keep my job and meet my quota by doing it the dishonest way?
Right.
Or do I want to lose my job, potentially lose my job and not meet my quota?
Right.
Doing it the up and up way.
Yeah. And that's an example of the type of sales,
like the sleazy part.
Yeah, the sleazy part and like telemarketing style sales that, you know, you're literally kind of tricking people into getting
to saying
something.
Yes.
Yeah. And all day, no. Do I have the personality to do that? I don't believe that I do.
I did it for years.
Yeah. But so you do.
Well,
you have the personality for that.
I wasn't good at it. I did it.
Okay, so there's one skis ball on our show, and that's you.
Hey.
Mom and I will no.
When I was in my little multi-marketing things that I was doing, it went beyond selling, but into recruiting. The biggest money for that was when you recruited people into the multi-level marketing situation that you were in. So you began to see everybody that you knew, everybody you met, everybody you talked to as a prospect. And that was a horrible feeling. Because people,
it's like a cult.
We lost friends. It is like a cult. It's like nobody wants to talk to you because you're going to try to make them, you know, sign up to sell this product. And I just hated it.
Yeah.
I did.
You hated it, but you kept signing up for the next one.
Well, she was she was a sucker for a good deal, is what it is.
I was sucker for a good deal because if you signed up for the starter pack, you got all the stuff in the kit for free, and you really didn't have to do a whole lot to be able to keep it.
Yeah.
So the definition of multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
You know, if we're talking about, you know, so I've worked retail before where I sold video games and I could sell video games.
Well, yeah.
You know, because it's right. Excuse me. Yeah. So, but when there's no, you know, commission, when there's no pressure or whatever, you can sell them, and there's no big deal if you don't, because then you're going, I can be honest about what I've got. I can tell you, I can give you something that you want. I can give you, you know, all of that. But as soon as my job and my paycheck and my rent and my, you know, or my mortgage and my car payment and all that is reliant on you buying this thing, then all of a sudden you start to question, okay, maybe I can start to push my ethics a little bit. I can start to push the dishonesty a little bit. You know, if I just kind of neglect to tell you the real issues with the engine of this car and get you in it, technically you're not my problem and I just paid my rent.
Yep.
You know, that becomes a difficult thing. And it's a shame that we have to question those things and all that. But, you know, some people, the most, you know, some of the most wealthy people that I know are in sales of some sort, you know, and, you know, you look at that and you go, well, could I do that? I don't know if I could.
Wow.
That was a big old yawn. Big yawn.
Big yawn.
Are you tie?
Is you tie?
Lauren, you brought a whole novel with you with a bunch of stuff.
It's not a novel.
Well, it looks like a novel.
It's a book.
What's a book?
It is a book called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And there's some things about when we originally were going to talk about this before our technical difficulties that pushed it back a little bit. I had just started reading this book and I just thought it was super interesting that they were talking about like introverts versus extroverts when it comes to sales, and even like just some of the things that I was reading about how it kind of ties into this subject, which I thought was cool. First thing that I thought that I read in this that I thought was really neat was that it says the word personality didn't exist in English until the 18th century. And the idea of having a good personality was not widespread until the 20th century because it was all about character and not personality. There's a difference. So character is like innate your moral compass or whatever. Okay. And your personality is what you're putting on for others.
Oh, so character is who you are, personality is who you show. Okay.
Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting and how they were like tying it into like having a good sales I don't know what the right word is. Yeah, persona or introverted. And I know this isn't about introverts versus extroverts, but that was one of the things that we listed.
Extroversion, yeah.
Yeah. So extroverts don't have as much of an issue with it, but it's possible for an introvert to be a good salesperson just in general life in selling the fact that they or selling the idea that they are not completely uncomfortable in your presence. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an act. I've talked to my wife about this a lot where like, you know, she's even made comments like if I didn't put on an act, sometimes people would think I'm a total weirdo.
Right.
And I don't want them to think that because I don't want the judgment, and I also don't want to explain it.
And she's not a total weirdo.
No.
That's just not how she would choose to act if she had
was
the
sitting
choice.
in a room by herself.
And, I mean, you got to think about it. Like, it wasn't even a thing. Because if you think about what the, you know, gender roles and things like that were happening, you know, before personality was even a thing, it was all character because, you know, the men were on the farm or whatever, providing for their family, and the women were in the home
taking care of
the family, and there just wasn't any need for anybody to put on any kind of masks or show any kind of put on any kind of front in order to sell themselves so that they climb up the ladder of like worthiness, I guess. Because you're doing what you do. Like, this is the job of a woman. Obviously, I don't agree with that. It's outdated. But before this was even a thing, there was no such thing as having a sales personality.
Well, there was, because there was still people selling stuff. There was still, you know, tradespeople. There was still...
Right, but it wasn't, like, it was a thing. It just wasn't packaged, I guess.
Yeah.
Where people talked about it. Because they were talking about, in the book, they were talking about like, you know, like the Dear Abby, where people would write in or whatever. And I can't really remember the whole like anecdote or whatever that they said, but it was like right on the cusp of when it became a known thing and people started talking about the fact that you present yourself differently than you actually are to other people to try to make yourself look more worthy of having a position or doing something like sales, or, you know, like me, in my job, my quality assurance job, you know, like my attention to detail and things like that.
Right.
I would have no reason to show you guys what a spectacular attention to detail I have, or somebody, you know, anybody that I run into in regular life. But, you know, if I were to go to a job interview,
you're going to want to talk about
I'm going to want to have...
Yeah. And I wonder too, you know, if we're always, if we're always putting on a sales pitch for one reason or another, and we, you know, how does that affect the character?
It's got to be it's got to exhaust some part of it, right?
Right. And is an extrovert just feels less exhausted by that? Is that kind of...
I would think that'd be true.
Yeah.
Ma, thoughts on all this?
Well, I'm thinking it's getting so deep.
Yeah.
We get our questions end up going very psychological, cultural. Like, it's nice. I'm happy.
Yeah. Do you,
Like going, I'm not sure I get it.
yeah. Well, yeah, we kind of get all over the place. But I guess I'm curious, Mom, your thoughts on the personality versus character. Do you agree in your just your views that like the character and the personality, like the personality is sort of the mask that we wear, not necessarily it's not who we are, but it's how we decide to present ourselves, and the character
Well,
of who we truly are two different things, or
I'm not sure. I think that book deserves a little more um, looking at, because I don't know that we got enough of it to really understand it. But I think about kids, little children. I think little kids have personalities. It's not, they don't have character yet. It's not built. Their moral values and all that isn't really come. But you can have between you and Jeff when you were small, you had definitely different personalities. Your characters hadn't really been developed yet. So I'm not sure what I think about that, but I think we
yeah,
have personalities all along the way. But I also think that you do put masks on to create a personality that you might need for a given moment. I mean, it's like I would
yeah,
have a much different personality sitting with a group of women talking than I would standing on the stage and giving a talk to the same women. I
right.
would have a whole different persona when I got up there to speak as a speaker
But
teacher
isn't
than I
that
would
just a
just sitting.
presentation then, as opposed to your personality though? Because
Yeah, but
I
that's kind of a
and
mask.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
sort of a mask
Yeah.
when you get up there. You say, okay, I'm gonna have the teacher go into teacher mode here, or I'm gonna go
Mm-hmm.
into um a different mode than you
Yeah,
are
and
when you're
that's
just sitting and chatting with people.
yeah, and that's too like, social media is another thing. You kind of create some people create their personality through their social media, and what they choose to show the world, right? And sometimes your personality is what I'm choosing to show the world, like you said. So if I so and I wonder if maybe we're getting tied up in the terminology or the wording. You say that a small child doesn't necessarily have character, but they have personality. Could you switch those words around and them be, well, they're actually showing you their character based on how they, what their empathy is like. Hey,
Yeah.
my empathy is built.
Innate.
Yeah, it's more of a built-in thing.
Yeah.
Or how I feel about, the other kids, or how I feel about, things that are what I think is funny and all that. Is that technically, could that be considered part of my character and not so much my personality? And my personality doesn't come until a little bit later when
When you start having to put
yeah.
a front up.
Well, and making it, calling it a front makes it sound like it's it's fake in my
Sometimes
mind.
it is.
And sometimes I think it can be, but I also think that like it's not necessarily a fake front all the time. It can just be how you present yourself. It's not fake,
Right.
but I'm picking and choosing how I present my character to the world.
Right.
So I'm not giving you all of it, and I'm not giving you none of it, and some of it I'm showing you in a way that I want you to know me, and that's my personality. My
Right.
personality is to be super super talkative and loud. Well, then that's what I'm choosing to show you.
Right.
I can stop doing that. Maybe it might be hard because
Right.
habits are a thing and all that, but you know, so I don't know. I don't disagree with your mom, because that's an interesting way to, starting with the kids, but I also I wonder if we get stuck on.
Well, and I did look up personality versus character, and
that's
this
what
thing
I was just doing.
Yeah. This thing, and it's from spiral2grow.com.
Okay.
It says personality is based on techniques. It focuses on how to appear to be, and it revolves around image creation, public relation, communication, and management. And then character says it's based on principles. It focuses on how to actually be and revolves around integrity, fidelity, compassion, contribution, responsibility, justice, and courage.
Basically exactly what you just said then.
Right. And that's why I'm saying kids don't really have that yet. They're learning that. You're not born with knowing the things that you just listed. You're not born knowing those things. Are you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
but
list them again. List those things that you said again for the character.
Integrity, fidelity, compassion, contribution, responsibility, justice, and courage.
So don't you think most of those are learned?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so is personality.
But what I'm seeing on mine is that personality describes more how we behave, and character refers to our values.
Right. And that's pretty much what I think what we read, or what Lauren read too.
Right.
And I guess go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think you're born with values. You might have a trait to be empathetic. That might be a natural, but your values are something that is built in you as you grow from your surroundings and what you learn.
I agree. So, but I guess then that leads us back to what were you saying that is innate in children?
Didn't.
Yeah, you did. You said personality.
Kids, like some babies, personality I think is more inborn, because you have some kids that are born and they're energetic and jumpy and happy, and they have a really good nature. They have a personality of their own, where another one might be a little more withdrawn, a little more introverted, a little quieter. They have a quiet personality.
To me, that's character, though.
That's character?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. And there's a bunch of science in the book, and I'm not going to say it, nor do I remember all of it. But
maybe we have some psychologists or somebody listening to our show. I'd love to hear what our listeners think about all this, or send us some articles, or send us your thoughts or your opinions. All of them are valid. And if you're going, you guys just talked a whole bunch of gobbledygook.
We probably did.
That's fine. We get to do that. Guess what? We made the show,
and we're good at it.
That's right. We made the show. We get to do whatever we want. So, but we do want to hear from you. So if you want to reach out to us, you can reach us at mymammadonetoldmepodcast@gmail.com. Or you can find us.
You just took my job away from me. Now that was the whole part of my persona.
Man.
If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at
mymammadonetoldmepodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can find us on the social meds. I'll have all of those in the showy notes. And X, Facebook, YouTube, Tiki-Talkie. And all the Instagram, the stuff, all that good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yep.
So I don't have anything but Facebook. I only have Facebook.
Yeah, I know. No, you have an Instagram. You just never use it.
I don't know how.
So
Instagram seems like pointless.
It's all pointless. It's all pointless. All right. Well, we hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other. Let us know what you think of our show. We do like the subscriptions and the likes and the comments and all that stuff. So if you feel like it, tell us what you think. Until next time, I think I already said our tagline. And I'm tired and hungry, so I'm going to go eat.
Me too.
Adios, amigos.
Adios.
Adios.
Hasta la vista.
Amigo.
We'll see you next time.
Hasta la pasta.
Hasta
the pasta.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love you too, Ma.
Bye, guys. I love ya.
Love you.
The best.
Having issues communicating with our servers, trying to reconnect